Hello, friends. The 950th day of the war between Russia and Ukraine continues. The situation in Vuhledar is, to put it mildly, difficult, writes military man Bohoyavlenka in his Telegram channel. He quotes a post by a soldier from the 72nd Brigade who, according to him, is not sitting in a trench, has a good grasp of the situation, and will not exaggerate. According to the soldier, the assault is currently underway from three sides: Yevhenii, Tsukuryne, Pavlovka. The Russians have penetrated to the south and west of the city, where heavy fighting is taking place. The pedestrian road is well aimed with mortars and artillery, the enemy is launching many drones, and they control the entire route. If groups of 10 people leave the city, then 4 to 6 survive. The command has been promising rotation for a week, but they are constantly delaying due to external changes and telling us to hold on. There is no evacuation at all, since the infantry fighting vehicles do not even have time to reach Vuhledar. They are immediately attacked. There are a lot of seriously wounded people who are impossible to carry out on foot under drones, and many dead people are simply lying along the roads, the post states. The military is running out of food and ammunition. The only option is to systematically leave their positions and fight their way out, at least for those who can. At the end, Bohoyavlenka adds that I will be called in for a conversation for this post, but if the lives of the fighters are at stake, then so be it. In the evening, bad news from Vuhledar continues to arrive. The Russians have begun publishing videos with their flags from the western side of the city, where they have occupied several high-rise buildings. In the south of the city, the medical building has come under the control of Russian troops. Thus, only the central part of the city and the remaining dirt road, which is under the fire control of the Russians, remain under the control of the Ukrainian armed forces. At the same time, fighting continues on the eastern outskirts of the city. Small Ukrainian groups are trying to retreat by landing to the north. According to some reports, the 72nd Brigade has been allowed to retreat. In addition to Vuhledar, Russian units continue to try to advance towards Bohoyavlenka. The main blow of the enemy's attacks falls on the positions of the Ukrainian armed forces on the prevailing heights to the east and southeast of the village. Taking them will give Russian troops visual control over the settlement and make it possible to cut off the main line of communication of the Ukrainian forces, the highway to Tsukuryne and further to Kursk. Ukrainian military personnel note a sharp deterioration in the supply of units defending Bohoyavlenka, due to the fact that the Russians are attacking the main supply route, approaching the village from the northeast with drones and anti-tank missile systems. In the Pokrovsk direction, the Russians continue to attack Tsukuryne from different sides. Fighting is taking place on the outskirts of the village. Here the enemy began a full-scale assault on the defense of the Ukrainian armed forces in the settlement. Russian troops from the north reached the railway station area and are gaining a foothold there. Fighting continued all night in the eastern part of Tsukuryne. Russian units have been trying to push the Ukrainian garrison here behind the railroad line. The largest stronghold of the Ukrainian armed forces here is the Tsukuryne poultry farm, located in the northeastern part, where heavy fighting is taking place. The difficulty of defending for Ukrainian troops here is that the main defensive fortifications are located behind Tsukuryne and are built to repel attacks from the south to the north. But Russian forces are attacking from the north to the south. If Tsukuryne is captured, it will cut off the Ukrainian group in Kursk and Kursk from the main forces. Today, the Russian Defense Ministry announced the capture of the village of Nilipivka between Toretsk and New York by the Russian army. Russian telegram channels mark the village on their maps as fully under Russian control. If this is true, it means that the Russians have pushed Ukrainian forces out of the northern part of New York, which the Ukrainian armed forces recently recaptured in a counterattack. At the same time, Ukraine does not confirm the loss of Nilipivka. On the deep state map, the village is marked only as partially captured by the enemy. Also, part of New York is marked as liberated territory. Also, the Ukrainian military began writing today about Russian attacks in the area of Vovchansk, where the Ukrainian armed forces recently captured the aggregate plant. It is stated that the attacks were repelled with heavy losses for the enemy. Also, Ukrainian telegram channels reported that the Russians are attacking on the flanks in Vovchansk. The front in the Kursk region has also become more active. Russian telegram channels are writing about a new wave of Russian attacks, which are going in three directions. First, Ukrainian positions south of Glushkovo have been attacked with the intention of pushing the Ukrainian armed forces back beyond the border. The second direction of the attack is the village of Plehovo south of Sudzha, where this village held by Ukraine is said to be being surrounded, cutting it off from the border. Also today, Russian telegram channels reported that the Ukrainian army has been pushed out of Olgovka near Korenivo. Ukraine has not confirmed these losses. Ukrainian maps have also not recorded any changes in the Kursk region. At the same time, the Ukrainian military confirms that the Russians are attacking. Poor knowledge of the terrain is against us. We felt it in full at Plehovo, Borki, and Spalnoe. We lost guys at Spalnoe. The enemy has very good aerial reconnaissance. There is always something hanging in the air, wrote military man Sazonov. If we talk about a serious possibility of squeezing us out of the Kursk region, this is October and November. For this they are pulling together forces, reserves, mainly infantry and tanks. Now, according to experts, there are about 40,000 enemies here. Mine believe already about 55,000, added Sazonov. Meanwhile, the head of European diplomacy, Borrell, said that Russia's defeat is in the interests of the United States and Europe, and it is not a question of supporting Ukraine. We cannot allow Russia to win this war, otherwise the interests of the United States and Europe will be greatly damaged. It is not a question of generosity alone. It is not a question of supporting Ukraine because we love the Ukrainian people. It is in our own interests. It is also in the interests of the United States as a global player, one that must be perceived as a reliable partner, a security provider for allies, Borrell said on CNN. Sorry guys, but I hear only one thing in his words: we will kill you all for our interests. Friends, this channel exists solely thanks to your support. If you have the opportunity and desire to support the channel, I will be very grateful to you. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.